home training and the Sunday shift. This is a yoga mindful movement class, and this happens to be the 4th week that we've been practicing here during the holiday season. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and as we look forward to the next few weeks, I thought this class would be one that is quite grounding and centering. From a yoga philosophy, it would focus more on the branch of Iyengar. So it's not a vinyasa flow, it's not a yin yoga or hatha yoga. Iyengar is a lot about alignment and stability, general control. So we can use the wall to help us in these positions, to help us with our strength, to help us with our balance. You'll see it's divided into a couple of different portions. The first one, we're going to be on our back using our yoga strap. Blocks would also be useful, or even a chair, something that might be of support in some of these stretches. As always, if something feels uncomfortable or painful, skip that particular pose, move on to the next, or find a way to adapt or modify that feels good for your body. You really are your own best teacher, and I'm just sharing with you some of my favorite poses that help me when I'm feeling rather stiff or tight. If I had a cardio workout with running and woke up the next day and just felt like my muscles needed some lengthening, these are some nice go-to exercises. So let's start on our back. You're going to position both feet against the wall, and then just lower yourself down. And of course, you'll notice the minute you lower down, your body drags away from the wall. So make it a point to venture back in there and press the heels, the big toe joints, peaky toes, there into the wall. And just take a couple of breaths. And so one thing I love about the wall is its ability to help us correct subtle imbalances in the body. And one of those is often from the pelvis position. So we're either maybe shorter or tighter on one side, or a little looser and longer. The wall can help us create that square frame. At the same time, I want you to feel in your exhale, your deep abdominals lifting in and up. The abdominals attached to the pelvis. So we're not just reaching away from the body, we're also lifting in and up into the body through that core connection. As you breathe, notice the inflation of your rib cage, the expansion of the sides. As you exhale, it's a great time to do that tummy vacuum. Deeply sink the abdominals down and towards your backbone. And create a feeling of being centered here on your back. Feel the plumb line head to tail. Then pick up your strap. We'll place the yoga strap to start. I'm going to put it on my right foot. And then return that left leg long to the baseboard again. Anchor your shoulders, anchor the backs of your arms, and then just bend and stretch a few times here. Inhale and exhale. Some of you might find that you need a pillow for the back of your head. We want your chin to be lower than your forehead. If your upper middle back is tight, a lot of times we end up more with the chin higher than the forehead. So make any adjustment that you need there to feel length through the back of the neck. And then just pause in that nice hamstring stretch. Reach up through your right heel, reach long through the left heel. Take a couple of breaths here. Orient that right sitting bone to the wall. Notice if you're having a tendency to turn in or overly outward with the hip. Feel like you're square in that right sitting bone. Anchored through both sides of the body. Have you put more weight into the left or right side here? Try to balance it out. And then the right hand, carry your right leg to the right side of the room and pause there. Can you still keep your left toe, knee, hip, shoulder in a straight line? Can you still feel equal weight between the left and the right hip? Can you still get that deep abdominal breath? Come back up to the center. Carry the right leg across your midline I'm using my left hand to guide that leg across. Here again, my right shoulder, my right hip is anchored. I haven't even really picked up the pelvis on that right side. I'm trying to anchor it as well. Then come back up to the center and just take a gentle swing side to side. So back and forth, side to side, but keep that left foot, left heel reaching into the wall. One more time. Good, and then hold the strap with both hands. Make a few little circles here just in that hip joint. Check in. Maybe you need to bend your right knee a little bit. That's fine. Maybe you need to bend the left knee. Not a problem. And then reverse those circles. Still being in your breath. Keeping the head centered. Not a lot of work of the arms here. You're just stabilizing. And then we'll switch feet. So left foot comes in and right foot reaches long. Pause there, breathe there. Create those connections through the heel pad, your big toe joint, fourth and fifth toe against the wall. Then bend and stretch here a little bit on that left side. Being in the breath. So this would be just a great series to do if you went on a walk, jog, run. When you get back, when you return, just take 5 minutes, grab a strap or a towel, and work on lengthening out those hip muscles, leg muscles. Left hand will hold the strap, will carry to the left side. I'm still actively reaching that right heel into the wall. Breathing there. And then back up to the center, opposite hand on, drawing across. Now you're welcome to hold even these poses for our 5 breaths. You're on the warm up. I was just kind of exploring the movements a little bit, but do be aware of the breath. A sustained hold here. Take 3 nice deep breaths here. Allowing our body to slow down, to tune in, to reduce the external distractions, at least momentarily. And then back up to the center, opposite hand on. Find that IT band stretch. Again, feel your left shoulder, left hip gently anchored. Do you still feel your right hip? And here you should even feel that right inner thigh working to hug the midline. So you're de-rotating, so you're not allowing yourself to pick up, and that takes strength as well. Good, and then back up to the center. Hold the strap with both hands. Make those little circles again. 3 or 4 in both directions, just nice dynamic movement in the hip socket. And reverse. Breathing there. Great. And then undo the strap from your foot and take a moment and just assess your leg length. Assess the tension in the hips. Feel the squareness of the shoulders, the connection of the back into the earth, the heaviness of your sacrum tailbone towards the earth. And probably you've got a little bit of space under your lumbar spine. We're not going to tuck the hips to close it up, but we are going to keep thinking of deepening that line of low abdominal musculature that connects and supports us. Great. All right. Start to, we'll hold the strap in our hands. Inhale the arms back overhead and just take a nice full body stretch here. So feel the lengthening from your fingertips to your toenails. And then return the arms back down. So you've centered into your awareness of the spine. As you carry the arms back behind you, can you maintain consistency in that alignment? So your mid-back is still heavy, your lumbar spine is light, your sacrum tailbone gently anchored into the earth. And it's good to become aware of the reaction of your rib cage to your arms overhead. Go slowly here, and as you pick up the arms, with each little increment that you carry the arms back, can you gently soften your rib cage down? So you're not arcing your back, you're not flaring the ribs, you're just creating a true shoulder stretch and anchoring the rib cage down towards the hip bones. So when I do this with an honest effort, I can't really get my arms all the way back to the ground, or else I would probably create some space under my low back. So I like to work a little bit more intentionally on strong center, range of motion through my shoulders, reaching through those heels, and good breath. And then rest the arms back down. We're going to take a little crescent pose here. So start to walk your feet to the left side of the wall of it. So they start to walk in a couple of steps, a little shuffle step to the left. The arms can again come up overhead, and we'll shuffle the upper body to the left as well. Pause here, breathe here, and feel the space that exists between your right heel and the right knuckles. Your left heel, to do this stretch completely, is probably no longer anchored to the wall, just based on the trajectory of movement there, but that right heel is still reaching into the wall. Breathe into that whole right side. And now start to walk your feet to the center. Return your upper body to the center. Be there. And then shuffle, step the feet to the right side of the room. And same idea. Don't go beyond what you can still reach your left heel into the wall. Side bend the upper body to the right. And if you think of those crescent rolls or a crescent moon shape, that's what you have found here in this gentle stretch. Breathe into the sides. Feel the space between that left heel and left wrist. And breathe here, 3 to 5 nice deep breaths. Just pause and be there. And then come back to your center. Return the arms, and you can do that stretch without the arms going overhead. If you have a concern with your shoulder range of motion or an old injury, you can always still do your crescent shape and maybe just take cactus arms. You can still get that subtle side bend. Good. All right, so now bend your knees, bring your feet flat, and as we often do at the beginning of class, find the pelvic rocking motion. So we arch the back as the tailbone drops to the earth. We gently flatten the back as the tailbone draws under. Inhaling into that arch and exhaling into that tuck. One more time, inhale into that arch. Exhale into your tuck, press into your feet and start to roll up to a bridge. Feel big toe joint, 4th, 5th toe, center of your heel. Think about the position of the head, chin, and neck. You're not overly flexed nor overly extended. And then slowly, slowly, slowly melt your spine back to the earth. All right, so let's move closer. Take a scooch closer to the wall and have your toes come up just above the baseboard. So this will be more like a heel-driven bridge. So pressing into those heels, arms at your sides. Again, find the curl of the tailbone. Start to lift the hips. Still draw the abdominals in so you're not overarching through your back. Press the shoulders into the earth. Take a few breaths there. Continue to spin your pelvis so you're not just hanging out here and continually working that pubic bone to belly button to target more of the back of the legs and then lower yourself back through. Good. Take your pelvic rocking here, little arch and a little flatten with your toes on the wall. One more time, inhale as you arch, and exhale as you flatten. Good. And then coming back to neutral, one more set, bring your feet now onto the wall. Okay? Let's begin with that arch and flatten of the pelvis again. Inhaling into that arch, that tilt. Exhale into your tuck, into the flatten. Inhale into the arch. And exhale into the flatten. Are your feet parallel? Do you have equal pressure through the soles of the feet? As you inhale and arch, take the arms behind you. As you exhale and flatten, bring the arms back down. One more time, inhale into that arch. And exhale into the flatten. Bring the arms down by your hips and continue that progression. And you may have to adjust your feet a little bit in order to find the bridge that's the right height for your body. I'm not putting a lot of weight into my head and neck, more of a shoulder stand here. Breathing. Take 3 nice deep breaths here. Drawing that tailbone underneath. Exhaling, low abdominals, lifting in and up. And then lower yourself back down. Great job. All right, so while we're here, I'm finding about a 90-degree bend in my knees. You can always make adjustments with your body closer or further. We're going to take a gentle twist. Arms come out wide to a T shape. And start to shuffle those legs. I'm taking my legs to my left side as my right shoulder stays gently on the mat. So they're taking a little downward journey off the wall into a gentle twist. Again, no pain, no numbness, no discomfort here. Feeling just a gentle stretch. I brought my hips, my pelvis, my back with me. And it's more of the rib cage that's resisting back down. So it's a twist through that mid-thoracic region, not your lumbar spine. Start your trip in the opposite direction. So slowly start to walk your feet up and carry them over to the opposite side. Take your time. I happen to have a blanket on the opposite side, which isn't a bad idea if you have any kind of range of motion issues with the hip. Nice to have a surface that's built up a little bit. Pause here, breathe here. This could be considered more of a restorative stretch. It would be great at the end of a workout as well. One more time, walking your feet back up. We're going to that twist one more time, just to add an element of upper extremity movement. So gently taking the feet, the knees, the hips, the low back with me. Start to make a little snow angel movement of that right arm. Checking here into the pec, into the chest wall a bit. And you have the option, right? Anything you could do here would be acceptable. Just making gentle movements of that arm and shoulder. I like to keep the knuckles on the ground and just make really small up and down movements here. Breathing there. Great. And then one more time, friends, walk those feet back up the wall. So this is one of the differences in this style of movement class today is we're taking things a lot slower. Tuning in, kind of assessing. So here on this opposite side, again, I've got my low back, my hips all come along with me. Stabilizing is this left rib cage down. spine, and it's amazing the difference, right? I have a lot more ease of movement in this left pec than I do my right. So if I were to do this again, I would focus a little bit more on just that right side. My body needs that. Your job is to identify what does your body need, and then come back to the center and just hug the knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little rock and roll here. And however's best for your body, bring yourself up to sitting. Okay? So we're moving to our second phase, which is a little bit of cat-cow work against the wall. I do suggest either a more padded mat or a blanket for your knees. And position yourself where if you were to extend your leg, you could have your leg straight against the wall and feel pretty level there. That's the distance you want to be here. And then start with your knees under your hips, hands under the shoulders, spread apart the fingers. Give yourself a nice cat curl here. So you've been on your back for a while. Let's start moving that spine, inhaling into extension. Exhale into flexion. Inhale into extension. And exhale into flexion. And come back to that neutral starting position. Can you take your left arm, reach it out in front? Can you take your right leg, and already I need to make a little adjustment, reach that right leg back behind you. So by all means, make all the little adjustments, the nuances that you need in order to tune into a really nice square alignment. Shoulders, hips, abdominals. You can gently reach through that back heel, reaching through the fingertips, but not so much that you pull yourself out of your square frame. And then rest that arm and leg back down. Opposite side, heel back, arm reaching, breath is full. Bringing it back down. Opposite leg back on the wall again. So my right heel's against the wall. My left arm is going to be a T shape out to the side. And we'll add some spiral movements to this. So rotating and threading the needle. As I thread the needle, I'm going to bend my elbow, a little bit of a push-up press. Rotating out and threading the needle under. One more time here, rotate out and thread the needle under. You have the option of bringing your head down to the mat here and just kind of pause in that upper body twist. Taking a few nice deep breaths. If that's not comfortable for you, then just hold that threading shape a couple of breaths there, getting that scapula moving around. Good. And then bring yourself back up. We'll take that to the opposite side. So now your left leg reaching, abdominals picking up, right arm spiral, and then we find that twist and thread the needle. A couple of dynamic times first, so just flowing with it. And exhale under. One more time, inhale to upper body. It's all that's spiraling here. This is not a low back twist by any means. And then spiral under. Adjust as you need to. You could pause here, breathe here. Still feel the energy in that back heel for 3. And 2. And 1. And then bring yourself back up. Take a little child's pose. So sit your hips back. You wouldn't think that was so much work, but it is. Paying attention like that, feeling the energy, the ground forces from the wall, as well as truly from the ground, creates a lot of tension, some resistance, some strength, and some stretch. All right, our second series, we're going to move to a down dog against the wall. So back up those feet. Lift your
abdominals, and then lift yourself up and adjust so that the heels are up the wall. Feet are planted. Bend the knees if you need to. Take some nice deep breaths there. Good. One more time. Feel like we've earned this down dog. And now start walking your hands into your feet and bring your feet down to the earth. Find your way to a forward fold. So you're going to have to adjust those feet. They're probably not going to be totally against the wall. Your sitting bones, however, might be against the wall. That's a good thing. Bend the knees as you need to. And then start to roll yourself up, up, up. Coming up to a standing position. And here, you can really use the wall for a little support now. So I've got my feet, it's about 1 foot width away from that baseboard. Take a couple of breaths here. And now let's go to a roll down. So your arms are dangling. The arms right now are not pressed against the wall. The arms hang at about a 30-degree angle from the scapula. So it would be really odd if our arms were actually behind our shoulders. So let them just kind of find their natural plane. And from there, draw the chin towards the chest and start to peel yourself down. But instead of thinking of going down, think of lifting up. Think of lifting up through your center. And right now, let's just go to where the tips of the shoulder blades are on the mat or on the wall. So not that low. Let your arms just circle here. And then reverse. Return your spine back against the wall. Feel your shoulder blades, mid, upper back, and the head. Good. We'll do one more time. We'll take this one to a little deeper roll down. If you like, taking your feet a little further away from the wall might feel better for you. You might get more of your spine on the wall here. So let's try it again. Gentle rolling down from the chin over the chest, chest over the ribs, ribs over the belly. Soften those knees. And let your body just gently hang here, but the back of your hips still on the wall. And now start picking yourself back up, low back. Through the mid-back, the bottom of the ribs, the center of the ribs, the shoulder blades, all the way back up. Great. All right, so chair pose. Perfect place to do that is with your body supported by the wall, walking the feet out a few inches. And you'll have to make some adjustments. We want to find about a 90-degree bend in the knee. Knees are not going beyond the toes. So truly, as if you're sitting in a chair, clasp your hands together and inhale, lift the arms up overhead. And exhale, lower them back down. Do that again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, belly pulls into your backbones are stacking up. Inhale to lift. Hold the arms there, unclasp them, and just exhale, circle them around. Bring them back out in front. One more time, inhale the arms up overhead. How's the rib cage here? Can you keep it against the wall? Exhale, circle the arms around. And then bring yourself back up to standing. Depending on your wall and fabric, you might have to use your hands. Give yourself a little shake. All right, so one more chair here, and then we'll go into a little flow. For this chair, we're going to go back into the posterior, anterior pelvic tilts. But first, just lower yourself down. Still feel like you're picking up. So even though we're sinking lower, feel like your side bodies are lifting up higher. Breathe there. Low belly, ribs connecting. And then just gently tuck your pelvis under and arch the pelvis back. 3 more times. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, little arch. Exhale, tuck. Gently press your head into the wall. This is great for head and neck alignment. One more time, and tuck. And extend. Good. And then use your hands again as is necessary. Bring yourself up. You should feel some good work in your quads with that. All right, so we're going to look at Warrior 1. You can start with the hands on your hips. Let's take the left leg back, and you'll have your outer edge of positioned against the wall. Your right foot forward, and if I could draw a straight line between my heels would connect. So energy reaching back into the left heel pad, abdominals lifting up, heavy, heavy front thigh. Breath is full, and then the arms can pick up, just outlining right alongside your ears. The gaze is forward. And hold here now. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Each exhale, you might find you sink a little lower. You draw the abdominals in a little deeper. You reach back more actively with that back heel. Great. And then straighten the front leg. Bring the hands to your hips. For pyramid, you have to narrow up your stance a little bit. So I've backed up my front leg. I'm still rotating my chest forward. And then I start to hinge, hinge, hinge at my hips, creating a very active hamstring stretch here. Hands can just rest on the thigh. Feel like you're gently pressing back with that front shin, pressing back with your sitting bone. Now this is a great place to have blocks, so I'm going to grab mine here real quick just to demonstrate. If we go back to that warrior one shape, remember we narrowed up our stance, straighten the front leg, lift the chest. As you hinge at your hips, you're keeping a stable back. I'm still putting a little bit of energy into that back leg. And then my hands can come to the blocks. I create a frame here of pulling my heart through the frame of my hands. And then I can exhale and allow my head to drop a little lower here. Holding here, relax the shoulders for 3. Hold 2. Hold 1. To get out of this, bend into your front knee. That'll just relieve a little bit of that tension. And then stand yourself back up so you're in a little bit of your warrior one. We're going to change this to warrior 2. So warrior 2, long stride, like a leg length between the legs, bending into that front knee. It's more of a heel to arch alignment, so I could back up my left leg a bit. So I would bisect my heel with the back of my arch. Arms reach out. I find a fist pressing into the wall behind me really helps me to align the shoulders, align the chest. You're looking straight out over that front hand, heavy in the front thigh, deep with the abdominals. Hold here. Let's go for our 5 breaths. Make sure your front knee is active more to the outside rather than letting it roll inward. You want to use this whole lateral hip for 2 and 1. Nice. Release the back hand. Turn your front palm up. Here's reverse warrior. So dropping down that back leg, letting the gaze, the heart, the chest lift skyward. Breathing here, holding here. Can we hold here 5 breaths? Very strong legs, like you're trying to pull the mat apart with your feet. Great. And then release from there. That was reverse warrior to triangle. Okay? So triangle, similar to pyramid, may have to shorten up that stance a little bit. You're in the proper alignment with your feet already from warrior 2. So triangle is going to shift the body forward as the weight of the hips shift back. Back hand on your hip, hand to that front shin or to your block. And we find a rotation of the chest. Top hand can extend up. I have that same solid energy through strong standing legs. Breathing here for 3, So pardon me as I turn my backside to you, but it makes for a really easy transition here to just turn those toes inward, heels outward a bit. Hands could be on the hips here. As you exhale and hinge, stay true to a nice flat spine. Again, a block might be useful for you. Pull your heart forward, and then as you exhale, hinge over. Bring your fingertips to the ground. Let that head hang heavy. Shaking out any tension. Pause here, breathe here. 3 more deep breaths. Very nice. And then inhale back to that flat back. Walk your hands to your front foot, friends, and just take a lunge. Pause here in that lunge position. If you've got your blocks, you can place your hands to frame that front foot. You can also just rest that back knee down. Okay, so that was a fairly lengthy series, and we're going to repeat that now on the opposite side. So let's go back to our down dog. Hands frame the front foot, curl the back toes under, step your front foot back, maybe shuffle out, walk out those knees a little bit. Adjust your feet as you need to here, heels up the wall, head heavy. And then we'll leave the right foot behind us, step forward with that left foot and pivot your right foot against the wall again. Moving to warrior one for heel to heel alignment. So that's up to you to take a look at your feet, see if you have a nice straight line between the heels. Check in the position of your knee and your front foot. Create a little energy through that outer thigh so that we're not rolling in. That's not good pressure for the knees. Right. Maybe you just need to stay here, working that gentle direction of your chest to the wall in front of you. Warrior one is tough for this. It's tough for this reason because your pelvis is not going to rotate to the wall. There's a general energy that's directing it that way, but you don't want to force it. What we're instead looking at is rib cage, chest, shoulders towards the wall. Arms can come up by the ears. You can lunge a little deeper. Holding here for 3. And 2. And 1. Hands back to your hips. Straighten the front leg for pyramid. Now this would be too far of a stance for me in pyramid, so I'm going to shuffle that front foot back a little bit here. And then hinging at the hips. Straightish leg, right? Straight to the degree that you can maintain the safety of that hip. So pyramid pose, as you exhale, you would allow those fingers to come either down the blocks or the ground. The head can drop. Notice your back leg again. Have you softened into it? Press actively against that wall. Breathing here for 3 and 2 and 1. Nice job. Bend into that front knee. A little safer way to exit, bending into that front knee. And now we'll take warrior 2. So I go back to a longer stride. My back fist finds its way into the wall. Top hand reaches out. There's this active wrap of the hips. Abdominals drawing in, chest is lifted. Turn your front palm over, back palm down. Reverse your warrior. Keep lunging into that front knee. Hold here. 3 deep breaths. Great. And then returning towards your warrior 2. Straighten the front leg. For triangle, we shift the hips back as we reach forward. Top hand comes to the shin, or I'm sorry, my left hand comes to my shin, my top arm goes up to the ceiling. I can use the hand on my shin for a little leverage here as I gently spiral my chest forward. Breathing here for 3. Actively use that wall. Drive into it with that back heel. Good. Then bend into that front knee again. Stand yourself back up. Pivot. Both toes forward for your wide leg straddle. Hands to the hips. Okay. Pull the mat apart. Stand strong in the legs as you flat back hinge. And then exhale, lower yourself down. Allow that head to hang. What often feels good here is walking your fingers to one side. So walk your fingers to the right side. Breathing deeply. It's kind of like that crescent pose we did at the beginning. And then walk your hands over to the left side to keep your hips stable. Keep the legs active. And then return to the center. Find your flat back hinge again. Bring the hands to the hips. Bend into the knees a little bit here. And then bring yourself back up. Nice job. Bring those feet together. So that was really, I would say, maybe the 3rd series. First was on our back using the yoga strap. Second, we did the 4-point bird dog and thread the needle. 3rd part, more of a vinyasa flow, moving through your warrior 1, your pyramid pose, your warrior 2, your triangle, and wide leg straddle. Now we're going to look at some heart melting postures by facing the wall. One place to identify the best optimal position of your hands on the wall here, find the front of your hip bones and then reach the hands out to about that level. Start to walk your feet back, hands press into the wall, and let the heart just gently melt here. You may need to soften into the knees. More important that your back is straight here rather than your legs being straight. I don't want to see this rounded hunched position. Lengthen head to tail. This is a great place to pause and breathe. Take 3 or 5 deep breaths here. I prefer to keep my head gently in line with my spine rather than just letting it dangle. Feel it long from head to tail. Every exhale, pick up those abdominals, coming back from them in. Good. And then to release from here, walk your hands up the wall and find a plank position. So I've got a diagonal plank here. It's a really nice stretch for the calves, lifting the abdominals in. Takes any pressure out of that low back from our half forward fold. Good. We're going there again. So walk your hands back down the wall, finding that Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Narrow up your feet and take your right leg back behind you. This would be warrior 3 in terms of our traditional yoga poses. Find the type of resistance that allows you to stand firm, but doesn't create so much tension that you're uncomfortable. You should still feel like you can draw your shoulders away from your ears, and actively reach through that back heel. Nice. Bring that leg down. Extend, reestablish that shape, and then go to the left heel. Actively reach for the left heel. Square up the shoulders and the chest. Breathing here for 3. Good hip strength. And 2. And 1. Replace that foot back down like we did before. Walk back up the wall. And this time, walk your feet in and keep reaching up, finding some extension here through the heart and chest. Like you're drawing your shoulders down, even as you lift your breastbone up. Create some nice upper back extension. Good. And then release from there. All right. Scapular flossing. So bring the hands shoulder width apart. And we drive the long bone of the arm back and forth. So it's like that humerus bone is gently mobilizing into the scapula. Keep the arms straight, and it's as if you're squeezing a pencil between your shoulder blades and then creating stretch as you press away. Shoulder blades draw together, drive apart. Shoulders together and apart. Good. 2 more times here. And then let those arms drop. All right, pec stretch. So we're still facing the wall. Extend your right arm out to your side, just shoulder level or a little lower. And you're almost kissing the wall. Start to turn your toes away from the wall. And here you have a gentle pec stretch. Now, be mindful that you're not overarching out of your back. Let's repeat that one time, just so you can think of what's the reaction of the center of the body. As you start to turn, keep your core engaged. Your outer hand could just come towards your low back. I like to always just tune in a little bit with my head and neck range of motion. I'm not impinging on any of that movement. Right. And be here again, 3 to 5 breaths. Our chest gets really tight. Sitting at the keyboard, looking at our phones, driving. This is a nice release for it. Great. All right, let's do the same thing with the left. Give that a little shake. So left arm is outstretched. My plumb line is square up and down. And then I start to position my toes, turn my body away from that shoulder. Check in. Did you overly arch the back in order to get here? And if so, reposition, drop your ribs to your hips, and one more time, take that gentle rotation. Checking in, you're not creating unnecessary tension in the neck. Good. And then come back to your start. Awesome. So there's a variety of nice shoulder exercises. I've made myself a list of the ones I particularly wanted to introduce to you all. Let's just do our clock. So you're going to start with your hand up near 12 o'clock. The core is going to be strong. Press into the wall at 12. Slide it towards 1. Press into the wall. Slide it towards 2 and 3. Keep that energy. Now, as you start to carry the arm back, the tendency would be to just go with it. There's strength in your derotation. So by using those abdominals to not rotate towards that arm, you're also strengthening through that core. Just an easy little progression. All the way through until you find yourself right around 6 o'clock. So this is a method of hydrating the fascia, the sheath that lines the muscles. It's partly responsible for our flexibility. What's interesting is after you do one side, I always like to float the arms up, and now my right side is a little longer than my left. I'm going to even it out. Take the hand to the wall again, standing up nice and tall. If your shoulder is particularly tight, it may be better for you to step away from the wall a little bit. So adjust as you need to. Find a point out in front. And you're not just sliding, you're also pressing, creating that muscular energy. Pressing, pressing, as you carry the arm through a half circle, all the way around until you find yourself back at that 6 o'clock press hold. And then release the arms and double check that you've evened yourself out, which I have done. And then take yourself to the wall again here. So as we start to wrap up, we'll take a forward fold here in order to bring it back down to the mat. Curl from your head through your shoulders and chest. I've got at least 1 foot away from the wall here. Keep lifting the abdominals up as you start to fold over. Soften the knees as you need to. And allow your body to gently drape down to the ground. Good. Let's walk ourselves out to a plank. So walk those hands forward and back your feet up so your heels are again against the wall. And adjust the hands as you need to so that your shoulders align right over those wrists. Okay. Feel the energy lengthening through the crown of the head. Energy reaching back into those heels. Belly lifting, holding here. 3 deep breaths. Nice. And then rest those knees down. So I feel like we're probably getting short on time in terms of an hour class, but I wanted to show you one more pose here that's really comfortable against the wall, and that's a gate pose. So I'm going to position my hip and knee in a straight line. Hands could start behind your head and press your head back into your hands. Take a couple of breaths here. And this is why I think sometimes you don't need a full hour class. You just need some options, some movement patterns that are restorative, that tap you back into your breath. Inhaling up to the center, good. As you carry over, let that hand drop down to the ground. It could be a fist or a flat palm. Still press that heel. You may have to make some adjustments. Good. And then pick yourself back up. Take that long arm up and over. Good. As you come back out, let both hands extend and then teeter-totter back down to that palm. I'm going to make an adjustment because I can feel my pelvis is hiking and my legs drawing away from the wall. Pause there. Breathe there. Top arm could even arc over. Breathe into that side body here for 3. And 2. And 1. Very nice. Pick yourself back up. Take one more counter pose here. Just gently side bending. All right, let's do that to the opposite side. I think I'll just move my mat to this side so I don't have my back to you again. So extending one leg firmly into the wall. Hands could start behind the head. Press your head into your hands. And just test the waters here a little bit. What's it feel like to have that lateral flexion, that side bending? Can you breathe into this intercostals of the rib cage? Inhaling up, take it over. Right. Nice core here, just holding that long diagonal. And pick it back up and side bend. And lift up. This time we'll take the hand down towards the mat. Maybe it's a fist, perhaps, right? Ground feels a long ways. Take your hand to a block. Breathe there. These poses are not about being perfect. They're about challenging ourselves, discovering what our body needs, maintaining functional movement, creating functional movement that strengthens our body. Pausing here, maybe take that top arm long. So don't ever think that making adjustments, your nuanced movements, your modifications, all that is being embodied. All that's listening to your body. Pick yourself back up. Take that counter hand up. Good. All right. So that concludes, I don't know what portion, what section, 4 or 5 of our series on the wall. And we're going to wrap it up now with a few restorative movements. It helps with legs up the wall. You might find the blanket underneath your hips is comfortable and supportive. One of the objectives to legs up the wall is traditionally to get your hips super close to the wall, and then you make kind of a funny little spin, adjust your pants, and all that. And now, depending on, again, the length of your hamstrings, that will factor into how close you position yourself against the wall. If you're really tucked and tight, then by all means, scoot back a little bit. And personally, I find I prefer to have the blanket supporting me all the way to my tailbone. Couple different options there. Some people like a little gap, but I think I need that support posteriorly just for my ease and comfort. So experiment between having the blanket higher up and your behind off versus having it underneath. I like it underneath here. So legs up the wall. Take your feet about hip width apart. Extend your arms to a T shape. Soften what you need to. Let go of those kneecaps. And take some nice deep breaths here. Right? This just kind of changes the direction of blood flow from head to toes. Instead, we go from the toes to the head. It's a very conservative inversion, a good place for beginners. And then butterfly, bringing the soles of the feet together. You could press the hands gently into the thighs. So this would be cobbler's pose if we were seated. Taking some nice deep breaths. And then we also have dragonfly. So starting with those legs extended, it's a wide leg straddle. We did that within our flow today. And just let the legs be supported by the wall here. Notice if you're overly tucking and pushing into your low back. Make that adjustment with the pelvis so you're still reaching your tailbone long. A few breaths there. And then if you remember, back at the beginning of class, we did bridging on the wall and some pelvic tilts on the wall. I intended to do pigeon pose there, or figure four pose, and I forgot, but it's really a nice ending as well. But we're a little close to the wall for that figure four. So back up your blanket, and then bring yourself back to where you have more of a 90-degree knee bend on the wall. And we'll cross right ankle over left. Using my right hand, I'm just going to press open that right thigh, right hip joint. And check in with how centered you feel with your pelvis here. And then reverse, opposite ankle over knee. You might also remember at the beginning of class we did that very gentle twist. That would certainly be appropriate again here at the end. Good, and then release from there. Hug both knees into the chest. Pick up the nose to the knees. Make a little ball shape there. Rest the head and shoulders down. Gently rock side to side. You can take our happy baby, drawing our knees towards our shoulders, hands to the pinky edge of your foot. Create some length through the tailbone and just breathe there. Great. And then rest those legs back down. Take your Shavasana as you feel fit. Otherwise, come on up to sitting. So I truly enjoyed that practice with you today. I will keep referring. I have my notes taped up so that I can have a general sequence of our plan. And there was one exercise that I skipped over, but I want to show it to you.
it might feel good to you as well. It is, we did pyramid pose facing away from the wall, where we straighten the front leg and we hinge, but pyramid pose facing the wall is also quite restorative. As you might remember, we had our hands on the wall and we were doing like a half downward dog or a halfway lift. To move to pyramid, after we did our single leg lift, bring that right leg forward, take the left leg back. Your heel is in, your toe is turned out, and just pause and be there. So you move the right foot forward and you take the left leg back a little bit and pause and breathe. There's so many wonderful stretches and positions you can find. And then we'll release from there. Let's do the opposite side. So again, if you were starting in your halfway lift, maybe you did your warrior 3 with the left leg reaching back. I could then move my left leg more forward and then step back with that right foot, heel in, toe turned out. Okay, kind of squaring up heel to heel again, and then a nice hinge at the hips. Pausing, breathing there for 3, and 2, and 1. Great. And then release. All right, well, we'll let that be our class for today. Thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out. I really appreciate you investing in these videos as well as in your own well-being. So take care, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again.